Hello there, we're in Darwin tonight and tomorrow we're off to the Rum Jungle to have a look to see if we can find any old Second World War equipment, radio equipment that might still be there. Maybe look for a Coast Watchers radio, a 3BZ, you never know, we could strike it lucky, find something that's been there for the last 80 years. So we'll have a look. We made it to the Rum Jungle. It's about 46 degrees. We'll have a look around and see what we can find. We're walking through the Rum Jungle through a blade grass field. It's very hard to get through. It's hot and steamy. We've been climbing over pythons and death adders. It's a very remote area in this godforsaken land. And we're hoping to find some World War II relics. Hopefully might find a 3BZ Coast Watchers transmitter. It might have been left here. We're coming into a bit of a clearing now with a tropical rainforest tree. Well, look at that. I think we've scored the jackpot. It's all there. No doubt they must have been disturbed by the Nippons when they were going to send a message. They must have been at night doing some clandestine transmissions. They've got their aerial wire there. And look at that, it's just in almost pristine condition. There's the official Nellie Melba style of carbon microphone they would have talked into to talk to base, tell them about what's happening, how many Nippon are landing. Their reel of antenna wire, look, it's not even unwound. They're obviously putting an antenna up, and before they had time to do it, the Nippons came and they had to run away. Hope they didn't get shot. We got the 3BZ back from the jungle. Have a look inside. At least it's got quick release things to get inside and do maintenance. The lid is very heavy, as is the rest of the chassis. It's got a nice photograph of all the components and layout. Most of the 3BZs you find look like this, all bashed up. Also, you had to carry along a receiver, the same size as the transmitter. Here we have a 3B radio, the model before the 3BZ, with the receiver and power supply. This is the sort of setup they had in New Guinea and the islands. This one's in almost pristine condition. I've never seen one so good. They weren't built as military radios, but they needed extra sets during the war and they pressed these into service and they're very good. They're designed for domestic use in the islands or the outback. These are a very simple design. They work very well though. There's the vibrator there to get your HT from the chopped DC. Now the way it worked, you put crystals in here. That's the crystal oscillator which drove the 807 directly. The audio valve, the carbon microphone, went straight to the grid of that the 6v6 there, and then it fed the two other 6v6 for the modulator. So pretty simple circuit. It's actually got 4 6v6s and an 807. They could have used a 6v6 for that, I suppose. Put two of them there, got the same power. But anyway, the 807 is probably a better valve. But they rationalised on the equipment. You've got a couple of coils here for tuning up different antennas, a high and low impedance. The transmitter had 5 crystal control channels, and each one could be set up to work on the fundamental or on the harmonic. So you could then tune up the output stage, PA tuning, and get the harmonic, so effectively had 2 frequencies out of each crystal. Simple control off, standby, the heaters would be on, CW for Morse code, and this way you'd have speech, so the modulator would be activated, and you'd turn it on and off, no press to talk as such, you'd have to use that. Terminals here to connect a carbon mic to it, and on the other side terminals to connect a Morse key. You could monitor things via the meter switch. And your tuning, the main plate tuning here, and aerial coupling and tuning knobs there. And connections for a low impedance and high impedance aerial.
Special reports, SC catch of station exit the ball on the 3BZ Kelly radio. No Nippon started today, no Nippon started today. End of report, over.
This uses the older shoulder style 6v6s. We'll see what's underneath. Gee, it's in almost pristine condition. The parts still have their daub of paint on the solder connections. Those electrodes look like they were manufactured in about 1960. I think this set must have been refurbished by AWA in the 1960s or early 70s. AM transmitters like this were still able to be licensed into the early 1970s for marine and outback purposes.
Station high, reporting on the 3BZ Kelly radio. Black 25 midstream landing on the beach. We'll be moving to the next location. It's the Fuzzy Watties tomorrow at 8 AM.
It must have been very good jungle-proof paint they put on the chassis. There's plenty of information on Coast Watchers if you want to read about it.
Report from Station Kelly. Up in the Surrey neighbourhood now at Brothers. Heading for Port Moresby. Stand by for more information. Station K out. Station report from ATCZ. No Nippons reported today. Standing by for more reports.
Some people would change all the components of these sets before they turned them on, but you'd lose all the historical significance, and it probably works perfectly well as it is. Right, we'll see if this thing actually works. I've hooked up 12 volties running from our no-break supply. I haven't got a connector, so I've wired directly into the 12 volt line before the fuse. Put some crystals in. Turn it on, see what happens. Off, put it on standby. Let the little bulbs light up. We'll put it on transmit mode. I like that, the little bulbs transmit and receive. Now I've got current there. Let's see what we do. Oscillator cathode. I suppose you tune that for a dip. Oh, there's a bit of a dip there. Right, I guess you tune the loading here for a dip in the plate current. Oh, there it is, a nice bit of a dip. Turn these tuning controls to get maximum power output. Let's see what happens. Ah yes, there's some Gary powers there. Turn this knob. Oh look, it's going up. Tune that a bit. Just the oscillator a tweak. Oh, there we are. Well, it's working. It's putting out about 10 watts, 9 watts. That's on that scale. This isn't a very accurate meter. On the 100 watt scale, it says it's putting out about 28 watts. So what do you, depends what you want to believe, somewhere probably about 10 or 15 watts I'd say it's putting out. That's very good. Nothing seems to be smoking or smelling. The vibes is very quiet. It's a gas-filled vibrator, very special vibrator those. quite silent. There's about 350-400 volts on the anode of the 807, so it's not running anywhere near as much power as it could, but then it's probably totally safe and would never burn out on that rate. Plus they've limited the power they could get through the vibes. Okay, we'll plug in the microphonic. It's good they haven't got proper connectors. You can put anything here, just terminal screws, very good. We've got some carrier there. We'll talk into the microphonic, see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. That's really, it's over-modding quite well. That's certainly super modulation. The coast watchers would have needed that to get through the noise to Darwin or the base wherever it was at Port Moresby. It would have been fantastic. Super over-modulation. That's the way to get heard, particularly if the Nippons are around. So very good. That sounds great. And very loud indeed. It's certainly nothing wrong with that modulation. Right, we'll now try a standard PMG microphone, PMG carbon microphone that was on phones till about 1980. And there we are. It sounds a bit clearer, a bit more intelligible than the Nelly Melba microphone. Yeah, it's modulating quite well, so that's good, isn't it? I've put a signal generator across the mic terminals and we'll see what it looks like on the Crow and what it sounds like. So that's 400 Hertz. So that's not bad. That's a pretty clean signal from a communication set like this. It'll over-modulate. Look at that. This is a pretty powerful little set. Bit of triangular waveform. If you change the loading, you can probably make it look a bit better. I'd say most of the distortion would have been through the carbon mic. We'll test the frequency response, so that's 400 Hertz. That's 1 kilohertz. Not too bad. 2 kilohertz. We'll adjust the timing. Okay, that's 2 kilohertz. It doesn't look bad at 2 kilohertz. Bit of clipping there. Okay, 2 kilohertz. We'll go up to, we'll move it down here. Three kilohertz. Look at that. It's a bit more triangular, but it's quite a good response at 3 kilohertz. We'll bring it down a bit. There we are. So that's 3 kilohertz. 3.5. 5 kilohertz. It's even quite good at 5. The receiver I'm listening on is starting to cut out a bit here. But that's not bad. 5 kilohertz. See how far it goes up. 6. 7 kilohertz. Yeah, okay. And we'll go up to 10. There's still, there's still a reasonable response at 10 kilohertz, about 6 dB down or something. Not too bad, really, when you consider it. What this thing was designed for. I'll go back to 1 kilohertz. One kilohertz. 4.5. We'll try the bass end. This is totally unmodified, this set, so we'll see what that's like. So that's 200 hertz, 200 hertzians. We'll go up to 200 on this scale. There's 200. It's starting to die a bit now. That's 100 hertz. So look, there's a bit of response at 100. Certainly 150 is not bad. Quite usable between about 150 and 7K, which is far more than it was ever being used with the carbon microphonics.